What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt. Alright, so as you guys know, Nintendo has announced that there will be some free updates for select Nintendo Switch games when played on the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's a great thing. But it also potentially opens up a negative possibility. But before we get things started here, we're still on the road to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you are interested in Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 2 Insight, and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video if you like it. And also, let me know what you think about the topic in the comment section. So, Nintendo has announced free updates for select Nintendo Switch games when played on Nintendo Switch 2, and announced which titles those will be and also what enhancements will come to those titles. Now, I think that this is just the first batch of games. I think Nintendo is actually going to do this with multiple games on the Nintendo Switch 2 in regards to Nintendo Switch 1 upgrades, and this is just the first batch. But it's pretty interesting, the selection of games that Nintendo has chosen for this. And also, I'm wondering what determines which games will get a free update and which ones will get paid. Because as you guys know, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the Zelda games on the Nintendo Switch, are having paid updates. Unless you are a member of Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass, then it's free. Similar to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. But if you don't have that, or if you want to actually own own a version of the upgraded versions for yourself, you have to pay an additional, $9.99 or whatever. But these games all have 100% free updates. Now, the first of these games is ARMS. Oh, and then also, these updates of all these games will be available day one of Switch 2. So, ARMS is an interesting choice because this was a launch game for Nintendo Switch, and honestly, it was pretty popular at first, and then it kind of fell off the map. And this is probably one of the least popular first-party games that ended up coming out for the Switch during its life, because it wasn't really, there was some support for it for a while, but it kind of fell off the map. And it's sad because this game was actually pretty fun, especially if you played it the way it was meant to be played. I know a lot of people, even though this game was ARMS and is a motion-controlled game, a lot of people chose to play this with a Switch Pro controller, which I actually made a stink about back in the day because it seemed like it kind of missed the point. But anyway, yeah, the game could have done a lot better than it did. But here it says the updates included is visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 display and higher resolution TVs for improved image quality. So that means that this game will probably run at least at 1440p. And it says frame rate optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 for smoother movement. And it says even when playing 3 or more players. So the game was already a locked 60 frames per second, at least in single player. So if it's optimized even further, this potentially means that ARMS could be up to 120 frames per second during single player, and during multiplayer, 3 players or more, the frame rate definitely wasn't a lock 60. So maybe that means this is a lock 60 now. And also HDR support. And this game was actually, even though it's a launch title, it's still a very good looking game. So it's going to look even better now. Next up, we have Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain. This one is getting an update, but not in terms of visuals or frame rate, because it's a pretty basic looking game. So the only thing that they're adding is more game share options, game share support. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is also being updated. This one, visuals updated, the resolution, so it's probably going to be 1440p or above, like I said, HDR support, and game share support. Now, this one is another interesting game. to get a free update, especially if you it wasn't not a lot of people took advantage of this, but there was a infamous pricing error. I think it was with Target, where they accidentally priced Captain Toad Treasure Tracker as the DLC price. So me and a few other lucky people got this game, the full game, for about $5. So that was great. So yeah, looking forward to the update on that. Clubhouse Games 51 World Classics. Yeah, this is also a simple looking game, so there is no actual updates to the visuals of this game. But Game Builder Garage has updated visuals, maybe because there's more kind of... No, I don't know why this game is being updated visually, but anyway, it says visuals updated, so probably expect 1440p at least. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is also having visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch 2, so expect 1440p or above on this game, especially considering, or maybe even 4K, considering this game was a Wii U game, and wasn't that good looking. It doesn't say that the frame rate is updated. This game was already a lock 60, but yeah, it would have been cool to have it 120 frames, consider it's a Wii U game, but hey, I don't know, it's free, can't complain. So the two of the games that need this free patch the most, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, they will be optimized visually for Switch 2, so expect 1440p for these games at least. And what they really need is their frame rate improved for smoother movement on Switch 2, because as we know, these games infamously don't run very well, and these are the most needed patches of these games listed by far. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is getting an update with visuals and frame rate. Now, it says optimized for smoother movement on Switch 2, including Bowser's Fury. I don't know. I guess they thought maybe people thought maybe they weren't going to improve the frame rate of Bowser's Fury, which is silly because Bowser's Fury is the one that would need the frame rate boost the most. It's 3D World is a lock 60. Bowser's Fury definitely is not. And they're adding HDR support for Bowser's Fury only and not 3D World. And I thought maybe they weren't adding it to 3D World, maybe because it was formerly a Wii U game, but so is Captain Toad. So yeah, there goes that theory. They're also adding game share support. Now, the game that I'm looking most forward to with this free update is Super Mario Odyssey. So it's going to have higher resolution visuals. Looks like the frame rate is staying the same at 60 frames per second, but it's adding HDR support. This game is already a great looking game and it's going to look even better. And then maybe after this update, you guys will understand kind of what I was talking about with my Donkey Kong video. So the last two we have are The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and also The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now, these ones are interesting because it says the visuals will both be optimized for Switch 2, so expect 1440p and above, and also added HDR support. But what's interesting about these two is that the main complaint of these two was that it wasn't a lock 60 frames per second. Like, not at all, especially Echoes of Wisdom. And they don't list a frame rate boost here. But the theory is that since these games both run on an unlocked frame rate, maybe just them running on the Switch 2 alone will give them a lock 60 frames per second or higher on the Switch 2, and hopefully that's the case. That's actually one of the reasons that I brought up that one of the reasons I bought that Batman Arkham Collection on the Switch, because I wanted to see if it was going to run better when being played on the Switch 2. Now that we got the good news out of the way, the unfortunate news about this is that since Nintendo appears to be going out of their way to optimize these old titles, and for free no less, that tells me that they don't plan on dropping the price of their Nintendo Switch games, even though the Switch 2 is out. So anyone hoping for, like a player's choice or a greatest hits, especially with the fact that these new Switch games are going to be mostly $70, but up to $80, yeah. Don't expect the Switch games to go on sale despite them being really old. It might still continue to be the case where you can catch a sale here and there, but then it'll go right back up to regular price. So it's going to be crazy. Imagine being like 3, 4, 5 years into Switch's life and Switch One games are still $60. That's pretty crazy when you think about it, but judging by what they're doing now, it's a high possibility. So that's kind of a sore point. Now, it doesn't affect me that much because I already own most of these games anyway, but for people that didn't own a Switch, shame on you, and that are just now getting into this library of games, it kind of sucks for them because even though like these games are going to be like 10 years old by that point or older, yeah, you're still going to have to pay $60. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section.